Yes, guys, viewers, listeners, welcome back to Conversation with C&C. This is session 5. Can't believe it. Here we are. The space and the place where we talk about things connected to race, therapy, and culture, and everything in between. And it's always going to be a space and place where we, share experience, expertise, and there's always going to be exploration. So I'm your host, one of your hosts by the name of Claude. You can call me C. Got Dr. Carl, the technician, the specialist. How we doing, sir?
I'm doing very well, brother. I'm doing very well. I'm totally blessed. I think we may have shared before just this new beginnings is and endings, not to forget the endings. And I had such a blessed ending on Thursday, Friday, leaving a service that I spent, almost 14 years with, and they really, really showed me amazing love. And it's that reminded of this saying, something a pastor always shares, that if your absence doesn't matter, then neither did your presence. And when you think of it in that context, it is very much, about the love that was shown to me, that you're going to be missed, man. And you're leaving us in a better place than when you came. So it's very much about just being thankful and grateful that I've had the journey that I've had, but there's so much more to come. So much more to come. So I'm and being off, going to have a few days off, and getting up with not thinking I got to go here, I got to go this, I got to do this, and just relaxing and just being mindful, in a place of mindfulness, I should say. Yeah.
So I'm hearing, you've left an impact.
Yes.
At the organization, people have been impacted by your presence, and they're going to miss you.
Yes.
And there was a send-off. You were acknowledged and you were celebrated.
Big time.
And which is only right. Which is only right. And I'm also hearing freestyle, a bit of free time. Where there's no real, kind of plans. Just having some quality time, man.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. What you been up to?
Nothing tangible, should I say. I've been taking it easy because it's I know what's to come. I know what is to come. So, I'm not going to put my pressure on myself to do this. Yes, there are things that I need to be doing and I could be doing, but just taking off the brakes, because I'm always, going 100 miles an hour, and having my, I would say, stretching myself, but not stretching myself too much, knowing when I do need to take a break and, have some downtime. But, I'm not going to put more pressure on myself with the week and a half or so that I have off.
Just chilling.
Just chilling.
Gots to chill.
Yeah. And the brother knows how to chill.
Come on.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in the same place. So I'm not working at the moment. I'm just chilling. I start my new role next week, Thursday.
Yeah.
And similar to yourself, just great to have some free time, just to unwind, do things that I want to do.
Yes.
Just relaxing.
I hear you.
Yeah, some rest.
I would like to hear about, I know you shared earlier about this spa. I'd like to know how that went, man.
It was, when I say it was needed, it was needed. I'm not going to lie, the facilities, I was a little bit disappointed with the spa facilities. So, but the time away was good, just to kind of chill and relax. I'm big on spas, so facilities.
Standard.
There's got to be standards, especially you're spending your money, right? So, spent money, gone there. I was like, this is it's okay.
Yeah,
it's not what I wanted after.
Okay.
After grinding for so long, but no, it was good. Some much needed rest, time to just kind of chill and not do anything.
Yeah.
Checked out Wingstop for the first time.
Okay.
I've been hearing a lot about it. So yeah, ordered some Wingstop. But yeah, it was needed though. It was needed. Just some alone time, just chilling, watching old movies and putting my feet up.
Right.
Yeah.
Decompress.
Yeah. Put my phone on focus mode, so the apps were closed down, and just chilling. Did a bit of reading, bit of writing.
Okay.
But nothing too extensive. Just being and being cool with that.
Yeah. I like that. That sounds good.
Yeah, man. So here we are today, man. As we
Yes.
say, session 5.
Yeah.
Theme, topic,
Fatherhood.
Ah, man.
Fatherhood. Yeah.
We're both fathers, Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I can add a moniker to that, which is grandfatherhood. Just thinking, I did not see this. I know that being a man of God, that he saw it. He saw it. But for me, sitting here today, being able to say that not only am I a father, but I'm a grandfather. That's powerful, man. That's powerful.
Yeah.
And then and being okay with that, because I know that there's some out there that especially I can say, I don't mind saying my age, being 57, that at 57, some dudes like, nah, I don't want that moniker attached to my name. Call me Pops or something. I want to call me Granddad. I don't mind being a grandfather, because it is it's rich.
Yeah.
There's a richness in there, and it also tells me that the daughter that I've raised, she's come into motherhood, and there's a level of maturity, within her, and seeing her being a mother, to her child, to her boy, man, it's powerful. It's powerful, man. Yeah.
Coolest granddad I know, man.
Yeah, bless you.
Yeah, coolest granddad. So as you say, there's an extension. So there's fatherhood, and there's being a grandfather.
Yeah.
So I guess, man, when you think of fatherhood, what comes up for you? Springs to mind. What feelings spring up?
I guess in the first instance is the lack thereof. Where was my father? And I go back there often. My early experience in knowing that someone was there on the scene. Up to the age of 6, but then there was nothing for a period of time. And I did have a stepfather, but he had his own family, so to speak. So I didn't really feel that I was fathered by him.
Yeah.
So when I think of fatherhood, I think of what perhaps I missed, what I missed, and I know that there were repercussions, reverberations, and negative outcomes, in association with not having that father role model in my life, in my early experience. And it wasn't until, I'll say, teenage years that I started to read and, started to look at those positive role models that were out there. That's when I thought, okay, all right, there's some cats out there that are doing the right thing.
Yeah.
But then it was always a searching as well, because I was looking for that individual that could be that positive role model, because I wasn't looking for a father, but I was looking for a positive role model that could perhaps mentor me, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because I was just brought up around a whole bunch of strong black women. Didn't take no jive. You know what I mean? Didn't take no mess. But at the same time, we know that what is a need, a desire, as a black man child, as it were, that I want someone. But here's the thing, and I think this is the biggest thing, is that for some of us, it is a craving, it is a desire, but at the same time, it is. I know that for some, it was a repudiation of being disowned, and as a result of being disowned, I don't want it. I don't want you. If somebody tried to come back on the set, I've done this now. I did all of this without you, so to speak. Let me go my own way. But I think I stayed in that frame where I wanted someone to really mentor me in my experience.
You mentioned missing, like what you missed.
Yeah.
Would you able to label like what some of the things you felt that you missed?
Coming up, right, I loved what you would call American football.
Yeah.
Yeah, the gridiron, the pigskin. And brother, when I tell you, and I don't want to, big myself up, but I could catch a football.
Okay.
Man. I could catch, and I modeled myself on being that wide receiver.
Yeah.
And I love football. And I used to play. In as a 10-year-old, 8 to 10, 12, played on teams, what they would call like little league teams in the community. Went on to JV, junior varsity in high school. Was on the high school team. How amazing would it have been to have my pops there watching me play football.
Yeah.
My mother came. She likes to say she came more than she did, but that's a different topic.
Different.
Yeah, exactly.
Having your dad there, having pops there.
Yeah. And perhaps that galvanizing me and keeping me on that straight and narrow, because you know as well as I that if you have a social network, as it were, who are doing different things on road, which they were.
Yeah.
Your head gets turned. Your head, and I can say that my head was turned, and I had a choice. And I chose a direction that was not fruitful and didn't keep me in that space of focus. And who's to say if Dad was there, I still could have potentially went a different way. But I posit in my own mind that if he was there, I probably would have listened more to that male role model than because I wasn't told I wasn't told anything different from my mom's. So I just think that that was something that was missed, or something I missed at the time. Yeah.
And it's your reflections kind of trigger for myself across the pond. For me, similar experience. Growing up, dad not being around. So my dad's from Iran, mom's from Jamaica.
Okay.
So kind of growing up and just not knowing like who dad was. I've never met him. I got a line in a song that I wrote, 30 plus, never met my dad. Can you mourn over something that you've never had?
Okay.
And I think that was inspired from a place of, there was an element of grieving, of mourning, of loss. At the time didn't realize that, but I did know there was something that was missing for me. And when you talk about the gridiron, I think of, playing 11 aside, football for a football team. I used to play left wing, play up front, was very nippy, scouted for various professional clubs. And I remember my mum coming, and I remember being the only black person on the football team. So my mum's come, little old lady, like from the Caribbean, salute mum. And everyone on my team, the majority of the players, they had their dads or an uncle there on the touchline. And I just remember playing on the left wing one day and the ball going out and just kind of looking on the touchline and just seeing my mum amongst all these dads and uncles and sometimes their wives were there and just wishing.
Yeah.
I wish my dad was here to watch me play. So when you said that's what come, that triggered off that memory. I think I mentioned in the previous episode, like similar to yourself, like trying to find and there being a longing.
Yes.
There being a longing for a male affirmation, that pat on the shoulder, that no, it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm here. Someone to speak to that, 'cause mum, she did an amazing job, hats off and, even to go to the gridiron game to watch you or to watch me play, that's them trying to be as invested as possible. But there's something that, is not even just young black men, but as young black men, that we need that father connection. I think every child needs a father. But if we're being explicit here, growing up in our communities with everything that's going on around us, we know there's a lot of positive, but there's also a lot of challenges and issues that are on our doorstep that are competing for our minds.
Yes.
And our hearts, where sometimes if there is that father, I'm not saying that it's going to be totally different, as you mentioned, but sometimes that voice, that voice of reason, but from a male, someone that you respect, can be really, really sobering.
Yeah. And I would say, I add to that, the experience that if they are open and they are able to share their experience of them coming up and how it was, and something that I share with my girls is that I want them to hear it from their mother can give it to them, but I want them to hear it from a male perspective. And likewise, I would think thinking of my dad, I would want him to share his experience. And just I think coming from a male, it's the guidance, the voice, as you say. It's just a different dynamic. It's just a totally different dynamic. And that word loss, that's a powerful word because the loss is there, and then as a result of feeling the loss, whether conscious or unconscious, I think that as a consequence of that, that belonging, that wanting to belong, is manifested in such a way is that you will attach to anything, whether it be positive or negative. And that is the crux of it. So for me, the football and the organization, the camaraderie, that was a positive thing, and it taught me a little bit about, digging deep even at a young age and having some fortitude, and that, not one person can get the job done and all of that. But even within that, when I turned my head and you saw something that looked a little bit more attractive, and there was a cohesive unit, there was something else. There was a different calling there. And
I think, because fathers can be there, and, in the home.
Yes, yeah.
But still be absent.
100%.
Be ghosts.
Yeah.
I think I heard it was on a podcast, Bruce Springsteen and Obama. They got a podcast and they're talking about fatherhood, and Bruce Springsteen talks about ghosts and ancestors. Where some children are who grow up to be adults and sometimes haunted by the absence or even the presence of the father. And as ancestors are there to guide us, and fathers are there to guide their children. And it just makes me think of, there were some people that I did know growing up, who did have their father, but it was almost like he wasn't there. Then I think of there was a group of us, maybe about 6 of us, growing up in the 80s, and Uncle Junior, I'll call him Uncle Junior, amazing man, that got to tip my hat off to. So what would I say? So he wasn't uncle by blood, but you know where we're from, that reverence and respect, family friend, uncle. But I remember him just bringing me in, like anytime he was doing things with his boys. So he had 2 sons and, you know, other nephews. He would always kind of reach out to me, make sure that I was involved. That might mean getting a haircut, you know, so not having to pay for haircuts. He used to work in like Next, you know, so he's coming back with all the fantastic shirts, you know, clothing, and at times he will make me get first dibs.
Wow.
You know, bam, Claude, yeah, go on, pick out what you want, you know. Maybe when we were going to parties, I don't know if I mentioned this previously, I feel like I may have, going to parties, he would pick us up. And we were like, oh, why are you coming so early? Like, why you... It's the party's just started. We're, you know, we're young, we're like 12, 13, and he's coming to pick us up, and we're like, nah, man, we're staying. And when we're leaving, the cool people are you know, arriving, the cool gang. And it was only years later, in my late 30s, that I realised what he was modelling to me. You know, he was modelling consistency. He was very, you know, he was in his children's lives. You know, he made me feel like, you know, seen, heard. Yes, I just want to big up Uncle Junior. So there are many people who may be fathers, or may not be, but they're actually playing father roles in the community too. You know, to young people in the community. And I remember calling him up one day, you know, and just saying, look, man, this is like years later. And I was like, look, I just want to say thank you for everything you did. You know, you showed me, you know, the requirements, or like the elements, you know, of what being a man and a father is like, or meant to be like. And he was blown away. He kind of almost broke down on the phone. And I was just like, I just want to let you know, at the time, I didn't appreciate it. But now, in the here and now, so much that you taught me is what I'm able to implement as a father now myself. Yeah.
That's powerful there, Claude. That is so powerful. And I'm you know, checking the memory banks to see if it's something there that resonates, and I can't locate it right now, but that is so powerful, and I guess what comes to mind is the things that I've read. You know, the seminal text, the autobiography of Malcolm X. You know, that you know, as a young teenager, that just changed my life in the context of what I could become. You know, what I was at that particular time, and the direction my life was going in, and showing me that I could have a different outcome. The George Jackson letters, read those, you know, young brother in California, who was, I think he was 18, and, you know, back then they had some crazy sentences. I think he got like from 1 year to life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What kind of sentence is that? And he just educated himself whilst he was incarcerated. And some of the letters that he wrote to people like Angela Davis, you know, and there was a whole big, you know, a lot of celebrity stars got involved behind him being released and things like that, and but unfortunately he ended up, you know, dying whilst he was incarcerated. His brother even tried to bust him out, you know, and went into the court. I believe they, unfortunately, they killed the judge in the process. But it was coming to that. For me, as a young man, it was coming to that understanding that there was a different way, and that, you know, there were men out there, you know, black men that were doing positive things, and they had a voice. And I guess, you know, I think the line that I'm trying to go down is that, okay, I don't need to I don't need to do the same things that perhaps were done to me when I come to a stage in my life where I can become a father. I can do things differently. And I think that's what stayed inside. That's what really kept me going, that there was another way of doing things. And I guess, I guess why I say that now is because I think there was some bitterness there. There was definitely some regret. As you highlighted, that moment of being on the sideline and seeing the fathers there, I that resonated. And I guess that was, there was some bitterness and detachment. And I guess that was what led to me turning my head and going a different way. When I sit here and I process that, that's definitely.
I think as as you used the word regret, bitterness.
Yeah.
It makes me reflect and process on my own anger and hate that I had, that I carried, that I would exhibit and put out in the world based on the hurt.
Yes.
That, that I had, and I can remember recalling, as a kid waiting on the stairs, just in my imaginary mind, in my mind, I was like, okay, Dad's just going to turn up today. And sitting on the stairs, just as this 8, 9, year old. I don't know what, woke up Saturday morning, yep, he's going to turn up today. And then just waiting there, half an hour, everyone's sleeping. I'm like, Dad's going to come today. I don't know where that thought, but there was that hope, that longing, and then that being like, I hate him, how can you hate someone you've not seen? And I have those reflections and musings as I've, grown older. But I remember speaking with a friend, and they were like, when we used to speak about your dad, I've got a friend, we've been close since we were 14. He was like, the stuff that you used to say, and it went, I want to hurt him, or if I saw him, this is what I'll do to him, and that coming from a place of hurt, a place of longing, and then, a place of acceptance. Okay, I need to accept that I may never, ever, see him ever, and how do I navigate through that? And then I land. I'm a father. I'm a father. I got a young boy. He's going to be 5, and it's like, wow. The fear that came with that. That I had, leading up to becoming a father. How am I going to do this? Yeah. So everyone's like, no, you'll be an amazing dad. You're great with young people and families, and you've got this. All the affirmations and accolades and the big ups. But deep down, I was like, how am I going to do this? It's different when it's your own child, right?
Yeah, of course.
They're not going back to their parents. And that was something I had to work through. And I remember speaking with someone, one of my guys. I was like, bro, you know what? I'm kind of a little bit shook. And he hits me on the shoulder. He's like, bro, you know what? Don't worry, that's a great feeling. Like, if you didn't have that feeling, I'd be like, surprised. Right. But then he just, was just like, look, man, you've got this. And then it's now fathering from a place of not having a template.
Wow, that's powerful. Yeah. The template. Because if, it's the thing is, the fear is real. Because how do you father when you don't have that template? How do you father when, how do you father when it hasn't been taught? And I guess, mothers, not guess, I know for certain, because I've heard it before, mothers who, have gone, had the same experience. How do they care for this child if it's never been something that was done? for them. If they would, if their mother wasn't on the scene, they had another primary carer, and perhaps there wasn't that bond. But I think when you said that, what immediately sprang to mind is I have a 25-year-old daughter who's a mother, and then I have my 16-year-old daughter who's with me today. And I can look over there to her and wow, being able to see us in action, how real and tangible is that I can say wow. G has allowed us to come in here and do what we do. And then, because she has an interest in this particular arena, comes, check it out. And then she has an opportunity to see me at work, whereas she doesn't very often get to see that. And not that this is work, but it's, this is a form of what it is that we do. We talk about, healing, that healing aspect of what we do, because this is cathartic. What we're sitting here and talking about and really reasoning about, fatherhood and being open and transparent about what perhaps we've missed. When you said that word, the anger and I said bitterness and regret. Yeah, I was angry. When I look at my former career, even as a young adult male, as a chef, I was the angriest dude, the angriest chef you could come across, slinging plates and all kind of. But that was I could attribute a lot of that to the pain, the unresolved pain that laying dormant, and then when someone touched, something inside of me, boom, because it wasn't so much it was that thing that they did. It was, it was an internal response to the pain that I had never dealt with. And then, I didn't even know what was going on myself, So very much at an unconscious level. I
think of, as a man of God, I think of my father, my father in heaven.
Amen.
And just how that was a concept that was very prevalent in my house. Growing up, household mum, I remember she said when I was born, she was like, she lifted me up and prayed like, God, this is your son, you're going to be his father from this day, from the day of birth to the end. And I just pray that you protect his mind, you give him wisdom, and that you guide him throughout his life. And I remember that, her sharing that with me. And so as a man of God, within, the essence of not having an earthly, father, biological father, like I've got a relationship with. I remember that being a positive that I could lean on.
Right.
I could lean on in times of goodness. And, whether that I want to be grateful and thankful, or whether times of, despair and madness, being able to just, check in with the big man upstairs, your father. That's what I call, I refer to, God as father, So I guess we've touched on places of like where there was hurt, as young men growing up. And then we arrive and we land at this place where we are fathers.
Yes.
And you've got the extension, the ladder extends. But like what are some of the, I guess, the things that you've learned about fatherhood in the here and now, things that you've enjoyed, things that you like, just fatherhood in the here and now from the doctor.
Just, I guess, it's interesting you asked that question, because I pulled out some pictures the other day of my eldest daughter when she was a baby. And I had her on my chest. And I showed her the other day, and she said, "That looks just like Caleb. Looks just like her son." She looked just like her son did at that age.
Wow.
And I guess it was the, that reflection, as you mentioned, that reflection is, I've been there. I've been there, for both of my daughters, for 25 years I've been with the eldest, just always been there for her. And it is a job that I have so enjoyed and relished, and seen her grow. Seen her grow into a positive woman of God herself. So I think as you mentioned, dad, and that was a concept when I became a born again believer. That was a concept that was hard for me to fathom, hard for me to open my lips, my mouth, and call him daddy. Because hold on, I didn't have one.
Yeah.
So, and then to be able to say it to an unseen. So for me, it was very much about, there's the prayer, we talk about, the prophet has come to heal the man's son. And he says, Jesus says, if you believe, and he said, I believe, but help my unbelief. And for me, that is very much help my unbelief on those days, because we go through this. We go through this, and I firmly believe that I've come to a place now where I can call him daddy. And I feel good about being able to call him daddy. And I guess wanting to be a just, a kind father as he is to me, to my children. And that's the thing, being able to also forgive myself when I do get it wrong. Because, there are those days, we were talking earlier about being grumpy sometimes, what I mean? It is very much about being able to know that, catch yourself. And also, it's also, even at my age now, it's not everything I need to speak on.
That's right.
And I have to stop myself. Listen, let my youngster over there wear those eyelashes. If they give her, if they give her pride and joy, you know what I mean. Let her wear them. She want to do her thing. Let her do her thing. So it's not everything I need to speak on, and just becoming a positive role model for them. Because they see that their dad is on the grind. He puts his work in. And to, show them that there's a right way and a wrong way to do things. And always trying to educate and elevate, and also let them have their own mind, not try to do their own thinking for them. Because, that's the thing, as you say, that some fathers were there, but then they weren't there. And just trying to be some type of presence in their life that is positive, that they can look back on when they get of age, that they can say, well, and then they have their conversation with their friends, and they'll say, wow, my dad did this, or he didn't do that. And, just being proud of the relationship that we do have, and just being consistent. Being consistent. And being there, and that's what I've learned over the years, is being there, being consistent, and being that go-to person if they need be, being dependable. Because I watched, and that's the thing, you watch other relationships. Like I watched the relationship with my mother and her mother, and I can say that my grandmother was always there for her daughter, good times, bad times, whatever the case may be. And she was always consistent. And she was, she was a role model in that respect to me. So that's what I want. That's what I posited in my heart to be, is someone who was consistent, dependable, and go-to person in any season. Because the thing is, if I'm that person that you think, well, I can't go to dad because he's going to go up one side and come down the other. But I think my girls will say, yep, I can go to him. He's going to go up one side and come down the other, but he's still going to meet my need. And I think that's the difference, that they know and understand that I'm always going to be there for them, whatever the case may be. Accessible, right? Right, and can talk to. And can talk to,
no, powerful. I think I just think of when Azrael was first born. And just he came out this little, almost looked like a little ninja turtle. And I'm like, wow, we're both staring at each other. And I'm like, oh, man, this is my son. It's on now. And I just remember the first few days, you know, he was in the hospital for about 6 days. And then, you know, everyone tells you, this is what parenthood's going to be like. But they're speaking from their place of reference, and which is going to be totally different from yours. And I just remember that skin-to-skin connection, just hugging him, just being able to hold my son, like, wow, you know. And everything else just seemed to evaporate around me. So, you know, fast forward, when I think of some moments, there are times, even sometimes still now, but not so much now, but for a long time, it was only, my son would only fall asleep in my arms so I could put him to sleep. And when I think of my EP that I put out a couple years ago, shameless plug, but really relevant to what I'm saying, is I wrote a lot of it while I was putting him to sleep. So I'd have the instrumentations, the instrumentals that I was writing to while I'm rocking him to sleep, and I'm, you know, reciting my lyrics. And that was almost like our bonding moment, that no one else could, you know, replicate or produce. And then there were various instrumentals that I know if I put this on, he's gonna fall asleep. So that's one thing that really stands out to me. And I just think, like, just being able to, you know, it's not always about money and gifts and presents. I think that's what I've really learned. It's time, you know, time. And last night, you know, me, you know, just kind of, he was, as I was going to sleep, and he was like, "Oh, Dad, you know what? I love you." He just came out of that rant, like, "I love you." And I was like, "Okay, cool." Like, what made you just say that? He was like, "No, you always look after me. You treat me well." And then he just conked out. That was his last words, and I was just there like, the feeling I had was just a feeling of warmth, amazing. It felt great, you know. It felt great to hear that your son saying that. My son. Sometimes I'm still shocked that I'm a father. Wow. You know, sometimes I look over and I just see him. You know, today we walked to nursery. He rid his bike and he's riding his bike, and we went this pathway that I've never walked with him before, and him and Mum have gone that way before. So we're walking. I think it was about 2 days ago, and he says, "Dad, it's not this turning. We got to keep going." And I'm like, I know it to be this turning because we've gone this far before when we have walked. And he's like, "No, Dad, you don't trust me. Trust me, Dad. You're not trusting me." So I'm like, I'm a little 4-year-old saying I'm not trusting. I was like, "Okay, cool. I'm going to trust you." Yeah. And he's riding his bike and he's like, "Dad, it's here. This is the turning." And I was like, wow. Like, he was guiding, you know, but it was just a powerful moment of he was saying, "Dad, for me, it was like, I'm growing, you know.
Trust me."
Yeah, you got to trust me because I trust you, but you got to trust me. And as small as it was just powerful watching my son riding his bike, just, you know, navigating.
Leading the way.
Yeah, leading the way. A child shall lead them, right? Yeah. So, yeah, just had some amazing moments. And I think just reflecting, I think as fathers, you know, we are called to protect.
Yes.
We're called to protect our children. You know, sometimes from, you know, philosophies, ideologies, ways of the world that might be not helpful and healthy. Yes. Sometimes even protect them from themselves. You know, so my son's not ready to shave. Yeah. So I'm not going to allow him to have access to a razor. You know? There are times we have to provide. You know?
And I would also add, you know, something that just comes to mind is knowing when to let go.
Yes.
And I guess with I'm at that stage now with Layla is trusting her and letting go, because I am that guy that I guess it comes from the institution in which I work, because you hear every manner of things the human condition that is negative in there, and just having my mind on what could happen. Yeah. And so being concerned for her safety, especially for girl child, and she's out there, from talk about traveling. She when it came to coming to here, few months ago, it was like, okay, Dad, you need to go this, and this.
Yeah,
She tells me how to get to most places. If I'm not on the motorbike, I'm going public transportation. She's my go-to person, leading the way.
Leading the way.
But then I think about my oldest child. When she was 16, it was a similar thing. It was I had to let go.
Yeah.
And let her make her own decisions, make her, allow her to be. Because, sometimes dads can be, I will say it, be oppressive and constrictive.
Definitely.
But it came a time where I said, okay, I need to stop put off the brakes now and, take off the training wheels, as it were, and let her do, because the thing is, I chose it, and I guess it's going to be different for men raising girls, because as men, where your heart has been. What kind of dude you were, how you looked at women, how you were. And so I showed her the game.
Yeah. Come on.
Yeah, I showed her how it was, how guys think, how certain cats, they have a short game where they ain't got no lyrics, but you have cats out there who got long game. They'll wait you out. You know what I mean? But I had to allow her to choose for herself, choose the path in which she was going to go.
Who better than you to share that?
Yes. 100.
Yeah.
100. Yeah.
And I think, there's, in what you're saying, there's giving permission and allowing them to pursue.
Yes.
So when you talk about letting the training, taking off the stabilizers, and there's that trust. I'm not at that stage yet because my son's only 4, but I know there will become a stage where I've got to trust that I've implemented enough for them to be able to go out into the wide world. And succeed and thrive and strive, and in giving them permission to make mistakes and learn.
100%. Because I remember when I came up, it was okay. When that street light come on, if you ain't in here, don't let me come looking for you. And then having my daughter now, come through the door just last night. After 9. Hold on. You know what I mean? But I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything because giving her that space and allowing her to, make the right choices, make those right choices and make choices that are going to be conducive to her well-being. So you have to let them fly.
Yeah. And I think there was something that you said earlier on about consistency.
Yeah.
And I think in everything that we're sharing, there's that element of being, and I know for some it's not possible because there may be various challenges maybe that are outside of their control. Maybe sometimes it is down to people's choices that they've made, but being a permanent fixture, being permanent. So amongst the changes, I'm going to be consistently and permanently here. So whether we do let the training wheels off, if you ever need to speak, where Dad's going to be.
Right. 100.
Dad's approachable. You can access, I'm here, no matter what the situation is. And I feel for me, that's the kind of father I want to be. When I think of my if I have aspirations as a father, is that me and my son and maybe future children, that they will always know that they can reason with Dad. That there's nothing that they cannot bring to the table, because I know the power of being able to bring, whether it's good news or challenges, to someone that, I trust their judgment and know that, they're going to listen and they're going to be non-judgmental. They're going to tell me the truth, and it might not align up with what they think or believe or their belief system, but just know that I can go to that person. And that's what I want my sons to know. Yeah. And the future daughters.
Yeah. Powerful. Well said. Yeah.
Fatherhood.
Fatherhood, brother.
What's going on for you right now as you sit here?
Feeling very proud. Very proud that, we can sit here and reason that, my daughter is here and she can hear what is being said and, take it in, and just feeling very proud that we were able to do this. And this, the culmination of these five sessions that we've had the opportunity to deliver, and each one having a different flavor, different flavor, different topics, but topics from the heart, topics that speak from the heart, that we're sharing our experiences in real and tangible ways that, whoever comes across this podcast, there's going to be some element that they're going to be able to really, identify with and reason with and say, well, I get that. But also, perhaps something that's perhaps outside of their awareness, something to look out for down the road, thinking about what is to come. Well, that person who is a new father. How can I be the father to my children that my dad was, or perhaps that I didn't have that positive role model there. So I think that really so proud that we've been able to do this, and that you've been the lead, on this thing, and you've really galvanized this, Claude. Really, from the bottom of my heart, I have to thank you that you really you have such a skill set. They give you the accolades and the kudos. That you are a good brother, a good father. I can see. How your eyes light up when you talk about Azrael. So, more power to you, brother.
Blessings, big man. Yeah, no, that means a lot. That means a lot coming from you.
Yes.
Really, really does. I think just to any of the viewers or listeners, future fathers, current fathers, people that want to be fathers, it's a constant journey with different levels and, different stages and phases. And we've got to, because we're all in this together. Though we might be traveling down our individual journeys, there's not one specific way to do it. You got to, I think, as my friend Chris Henriette said to me once, big up Chris, he patted me on the shoulder and just said, "You're doing what you're doing is enough." Don't beat yourself up. Don't be hard on yourself. So just for the fathers out there, just keep on doing what you can do. And just always remember that you might get it wrong.
Yes.
And when you do, put your hands up and then come again, we're just here to continue to try and empower our children. And for the listeners, just want to say thank you for logging in, for tuning in. Please share, do subscribe. But before we wind down, before we stop, what would you like to leave or share with our listeners?
I guess since this podcast really is about therapy, race, culture, and those are the themes in which it is predicated on. Is that if you want to get in contact with us, you can definitely reach out. We are, as we said earlier, as fathers, we are accessible, and so in this format, in this forum, we want to be accessible as well. So we're putting things together so that people can touch base with us, real and tangible ways. Because what good is us? Is it us doing this if you can't reach out to us and have that dialogue in private, one-to-one. So I think that that is what I want to share. That there's an opportunity. We want to build on this. Because as we began in session 1, about there being black therapists, black male therapists out there, but we know that we are few and far between. So we want to create that voice for other therapists out there, whether they be black males or women of color, or anyone for that matter, because this is about education as well. This format is about education, because I know that I've had the opportunity to teach within an area that is predominantly white, middle class, and a lot of the students that came to me were white middle class women. And I showed them something different.
Yeah.
I role modeled something different to them, and then put it out there openly that, when you have a person of color that comes into that counseling room, do you see them? And this is what this is about. This is about having an opportunity to share that, we want to be seen, we want to be acknowledged, we want you to see our color, because when you say, and I've had it over the years, a lot of them have said, when I came into the training room, I didn't really see a black male. Okay. So there's some psychoeducation that needed to be had in that respect.
Yeah.
In order for you to begin to see me. I've been on training courses. Oh, that's just Carl. Okay. All right. So what does that mean? That's just Carl. So yeah, this is about education. This is about having an open dialogue, and for you having an opportunity further down the road to reach out to us, and tell us what you think. Because I think there's always the opportunity for betterment, because we want to be good at what we're doing and the information that we are sharing, and also if there are things out there that you want to hear.
That's great. That's great. And as we kind of spoke about, knowing that there are many young men in our communities that don't have fathers. Yes. And we know that to father, you don't actually need to biologically be someone's father. Well, so you can be a mentor. So there are schemes and projects out there that, men, out there, where you're able to tap into and maybe be a mentor to a young person who does need that kind of like inspiration, affirmation, and that role model and that direction and guidance. So, if you do have time and you do have an opportunity, and you've got skills and expertise, and an experience, please do use them, because the community does need you. So that's what I would kind of land on. And just keep on keeping on, as Curtis Mayfield says. And thanks for tuning in.
Yes.
Blessings.
Blessings.
Peace.